Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Pillars of Success with Dr. Paul White. How are you doing today, Mr. White?
I'm doing great.
Today, we are going to focus on the idea of gratitude. Within the Pillars of Success, one of the really important aspects along someone's journey is the ability to have appreciation and gratitude for everything that they are given along the way. To start things off, first and foremost, what does gratitude mean to you?
Well, I think gratitude, for me at least, is a complete worldview. So I feel that when I approach, my life and I look at the things that I do in life, one of the first things I want to address is how I look at everything, and if I'm looking at it through that lens of gratitude. So I think that for me, it's a whole world view. It's the way I choose to look at the world, and it's something that I try to practice every day.
What would you say are the real benefits of gratitude within one's journey, whether it be academic or just in general their journey towards success?
I think it's absolutely imperative to have an attitude of gratitude if you are on the journey to success, or if you're on a serious journey to success. I feel that people that do not look at the world through the lens of gratitude are generally more discontent. They don't have as much peace, and many times their lives are kind of thrown out of balance. I think when you practice gratitude, it helps keep you centered, and it helps you realize everything that you have, everything you've worked for, and the things that other people have done for you. So I think it's absolutely essential to maintain that attitude and to maintain that perspective on gratitude.
You mentioned how gratitude is an important part of your daily routine. What do you think the actual impact of that is? Is it more of something that you just do to show appreciation, or do you think it actually really does change your life in a positive way?
It's definitely changed my life in a very positive way. Practicing my affirmations, I include gratitude in with those affirmations, and it helps center. It helps center me, but it helps me focus on really, I feel, what's important, the things that are important in life. And in life we have so much that we've all been blessed with, so many things that we've been given, and then things that we've also worked very hard for. And I think if we spend a little bit of time daily doing an assessment, doing an evaluation, and really focusing on what we have to be grateful for, it's going to actually kind of create this positive feedback loop, and then we actually become more grateful. And the more I feel that we're grateful, the more our perspective on the world and our own lives change in a very positive direction.
Obviously, within one's own success, there's people that obviously become very successful that aren't necessarily grateful, or they don't really give credit to anybody else for their successes. What is kind of your viewpoint on that? Do you think that is a bad way of thinking, or do you think it could be justified if they put in a lot of hard work themselves?
Well, I think first we need to quantify success. There are all different types of success. If we're looking at like money success, I'm sure there are plenty of people that would be considered successful monetarily speaking that aren't necessarily very grateful. I think though, if you're looking for a true balance in life, if you're looking to balance lots of different areas and to be successful in lots of different areas, I would venture to say that anybody that is trying to do that is going to have a deep sense of gratitude for what they have and for what they've accomplished. So I feel that the earmark, or at least an earmark of true success, is a person that has a perspective of gratitude.
Do you consider gratitude to all be the same basic thing, or would you consider different forms of gratitude? If so, what would you say the different forms of gratitude are and how they can affect one's mindset?
There are definitely different forms of gratitude. I think there are things that, as I said before, that we have been given in our lives. Other people have done things for us, have made things happen for us. We always need to remember where we came from and the people that helped build us, relatives, ancestors, these individuals. One of the things that I say every day is that I'm grateful for all those who came before me. I think that it's very, very important to recognize all the sacrifices and things that our parents and our grandparents and our great-grandparents and aunts and uncles that made, that these individuals made in our own lives, our individual lives. But I also think there's another area, and that area of gratitude is the area where we've put a lot of our own hard work into things. Whether that be through school, whether that be through our career, whether that be in our family. I think that it's important to maintain a level of gratitude towards ourselves and for what we've put into the community and into our environment and world around us.
You mentioned gratitude towards those who came before you. Now, obviously, they're not directly impacting you, but what do you think they really have to offer you in a sense of what you can dwell on to make you feel that strive for success?
Well, I disagree. I feel like they've had a huge impact on me, and I feel that they have a huge impact on all their progeny. So I feel that I am part and parcel in many ways, and attached very intrinsically to, of course, my parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and I am a sum total of them. So I feel that having that gratitude towards them and recognizing the influence they've had on our lives, whether that be, some of those influences may be positive, some of them may be negative, but still there's this profound influence they've had upon us. And they made a lot of sacrifices and had to do a lot of very selfish things to take care of us and to help nurture us and raise us. And so I think that they have an enormous impact on our lives, and we absolutely need to be very, very grateful for all those that came before us.
And for those who aren't grateful, what do you think the negatives are and how it can negatively impact their life for those who don't want to show gratitude?
They're miserable. Individuals that choose not to be grateful for what others have done for them or even the work they've put in themselves are miserable. And so I think, and this is something I see in society, if someone were to ask me, what do you think is, an area that society is suffering in right now, I would say there is an extreme and pervasive and ubiquitous lack, of gratitude. There's just a lot of individuals who don't really recognize everything that they have. And I feel that this also ties into humility. I feel that people that are generally at peace, individuals that have that gratitude, that deep sense of gratitude, are going to be at peace, and they're going to be individuals that are more humble. They're going to basically recognize where they came from, all the contributions that got them where they are now, and they're always going to remember that, and they're always going to give deference to those other individuals that may have helped them. And they're also going to recognize that they need to pay things forward. And so there's a sense of peace in these people's lives. There's a sense of humility. Whereas I see people that are very ungrateful or they're not thankful for what they have. These people are generally miserable. They're sad. They don't embody the principles that we've discussed in the pillars of success.
So part of the thing that a lot of people will say is growing up, they never necessarily showed a lot of gratitude because they were never shown a good example of showing gratitude. So if someone never got that good example early on, then how would you go about that? How would you fix it?
I mean, of course, modeling is huge. So having that modeled for us, gratitude, having a parent that's very grateful, of course, gives us a leg up, in that way. I will say this, I think gratitude, like many other aspects or elements within our lives, is something that can be practiced. I think a person who maybe hadn't been modeled for, if they purposely focus on things on a daily basis that they're grateful for, they eventually will become more grateful, and they'll eventually that idea of gratitude will permeate their very being and their persona. So I feel like you could start out with a disadvantage and not maybe having that model for you, but I absolutely believe that you can learn it, and it can be something that can be practiced and applied.
In terms of teaching yourself gratitude, if you did not have a good example, how does one even go about that? Assuming that they never had a great example, they're starting from scratch, how would one go about that?
You would focus on a few areas of your life daily that you're grateful for. So an example may be, I'm grateful that I have a car. I'm grateful that I have a job. Now these things might seem silly because, a lot of people have these things. But again, I feel that we have to focus on areas in our life that we have either been given things or we have worked hard to accomplish. And we have to practice that on a daily basis, remind ourselves on a daily basis that these are things that we should be grateful for. So I think you start it day by day, you find a few select things you can keep reminding yourself of. And this really plays into a much larger perspective as far as when it comes to reflectiveness. I feel that this is just another part of the journey of self-improvement, and part of that journey is being reflective. And so, contemplating, reflecting on your gratitude and the things that you're grateful for is all part of that.
Now, going into this, I always like to kind of play both sides. Is there such thing as over gratitude? Or do you think there is never an amount that is too much when it comes to gratitude?
I think genuine gratitude, no. I feel that if your gratitude starts transforming into something like pride, and again, let me differentiate that. There's being proud of your accomplishments or proud of maybe something that you've received, but then there's an actual ego function that's just absolute arrogance and pride. But I feel that that's not anything that you would really need to worry about if you are being genuinely grateful for what you have and for what you've accomplished. And so I feel that genuine gratitude, you can never have too much of that, and that there really isn't any danger of moving into something like arrogance or pride, as long as you stay grounded and you remember where you came from, and the things and the people that you should be grateful to and for.
Now, obviously, we always like to use examples because we like to apply the things we say to our own experiences. So, can you go ahead and tell us a specific time or event in your life where you felt an overwhelming amount of gratitude for something that was very helpful to you in your journey, from someone or from something in general?
I felt an enormous amount of gratitude when I finished my MBA. And up to that point, I had accomplished some things in my life, but that was probably one of the more momentous, at least professionally, one of the more momentous things that I accomplished. I put a lot of work in and I accomplished. And so I remember contemplating it and thinking of it and just having tears come to my eyes. I was so overwhelmed with emotion. And I feel that's, a sign of true gratitude, is when a person reflects and they're overwhelmed with emotion by the very thought of that thing they accomplished or that thing that had been given. I think that's a good sign that you're on the right track, and that you're actually feeling, genuine gratitude. And so, yeah, that was definitely a very profound moment for me. And I've had other moments like that, before and since, but that's one that really sticks out to me at the moment.
Now, as always, when we start to wrap up the idea of whatever we're talking about, we like to kind of delve into it a little bit more. So, if you were to try and help somebody who was struggling in their life to have gratitude, maybe they've been given a bad hand of cards, or maybe a series of unfortunate events have happened in their life. If you were to speak to one of them one-on-one, what would you try to tell them in order to get them back on track, to have a sense of gratitude and to have that stride to keep going?
I would say that gratitude is going to improve their lives. Whatever situation they're in right now will be vastly improved by practicing gratitude. I would exhort them to practice it daily. even if it's just for 5 minutes or so, just reminding yourself of things that you have to be grateful for. It could be something as simple as, having a place to live or having a job. There are plenty of people that don't even have those things. So I think that by reminding yourself of everything that you do have, and doing that over an extended period of time, the real net benefit is that your life is going to be better. You're going to feel better about it as well. You'll be more at peace with it. And as I said earlier, everyone that I've ever met that's not grateful is typically sad and miserable. And that's no place to be. As humans, we don't want to dwell very long in those types of places. So, I would say start out small. Remind yourself daily of things that you have to be grateful for. And know that this is not, again, a weekend retreat. That in order to see the real net benefits of practicing gratitude, it takes months, it takes years of continual daily reminders and that exercise of reminding ourselves of what we're grateful for.
Thank you so much for your time, Dr. White. And as always, hopefully you guys enjoyed this session of the Pillars of Success. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. It helps immensely. And we will see you guys in the next one.
My pleasure.